I've recently had intentions to focus on Halloween, to make a Lessons Animations Taught Us video, and to talk about my favourite films. I found out I could do all three at once. The 1993 stop-motion film The Nightmare Before Christmas focuses on Halloween mascot Jack Skellington's discovery of Christmas. There are a number of reasons this is my favourite film of all time. Well, tied with the completely different Oh Brother Where Art Thou, which could be a future video depending on the level of interest. The art style and animation is some of the most distinctive and textured ever committed to film, with the stop-motion animation creating a stilted liveliness that introduces a unique sense of warmth and effort that's extended to the score and songs by Danny Elfman, which both show energy, mournfulness, reflectiveness and joy when required to, complemented by carefully crafted melodies, glorious performances, and poetical lyrics, the essence of which is occasionally found within the concise, occasionally theatrically embellished dialogue. The elegance of the script actually makes sense, especially in Jack's case. After all, since he is dead, he can take off his head to recite Shakespearean quotation. The film actually features a lyric that I will one day force into the conclusion of a video. It's perfectly paced with a simple yet original story, thoughtful character exploration, and unforced emotional impact. Other strengths of this film involve its masterful balance of shade and light, the shade of it all being found in several morally questionable decisions, and the light being found in the genuine celebration of holiday spirit. Both extremes are further communicated by the animation. However, some of the most overlooked strengths of this film involve the lessons it taught us. Usually after watching, I only spend a few minutes thinking about the film, but I noticed this time, after checking the amount of time I'd spent thinking, I realised it was hours this time. God, that was forced. In one of the earliest scenes in the film, a lesson is already being established. Jack Skellington has become tired of the praise associated with his position as the Pumpkin King and being viewed as a symbol to his peers rather than as a person. Well, to be fair, he's not strictly a person. But he's not even viewed as a skeleton by his peers. He's on amiable terms with the entire cast, but none are familiar with him on a fully personal level. Almost all of his interactions seem to involve preparations for next Halloween. This shows that even the most seemingly successful lives can be marred with a feeling of emptiness or shortcoming, and some forms of popularity are purely superficial and ultimately may not prevent feelings of loneliness or hesitation. A particularly important message today, when social media is rife with reports of other people's success, that causes people who haven't accomplished the same accomplishments to feel inferior. After Jack discovers Christmas though, the film essentially becomes a metaphor for well-intentioned cultural insensitivity. Well, not a metaphor. It's pretty explicit. This point is communicated with enough whimsy, artfulness and restraint that it never needs to be actively stated. But Jack is essentially enforcing his warped opinions of the holiday onto a community with actual experience of it that he doesn't share. Most of his knowledge of Christmas seems to be derived from books, some of which are fictional. An additional lesson these passages invoke is that enjoyment of something will not result in actual immediate understanding, even with research. As proof, I've watched Avengers Endgame several times in order to master time travel. And I've still never been able to actually time travel. Well, not for more than a few minutes anyway. Jack's understanding of Christmas is primarily warped as a result of his surroundings. Or rather, his culture, which basically dictates that the macabre is essentially standard. Even though he seems to realise that darkness isn't the purpose of Christmas, he's still unable to separate the holiday from his primary character traits, evidenced by him attempting to make a snowflake out of paper and making a spider's web instead. Or the moment in Making Christmas where he realises that the proposed gifts of Halloween Town citizens are grotesque, even though his alternative suggestions are only marginally preferable. In one of the film's many incredible songs, he bemoans the fact that nothing ever turns out like it should, and that people are ungrateful of his endeavours to bring them Christmas. After he kidnapped an old man and put dismembered body parts and dangerous animals into strangers' houses. I don't think that other people are the main problem in this case, Jack. All those times I'd seen Santa being kidnapped or being sent a dismembered body part for Christmas, and I never viewed the situation from the culprit's perspective. That is, until I watched this film. A dimension of the film that's even more important than either of the holidays it explores though, concerns the idea of being positive about one's identity. During his destruction of the holiday, Jack realises, in an infectiously empowering moment of musicality, that his status as the Pumpkin King was more valuable and personal than he previously acknowledged. This arguably creates a problematic message that attempting to pursue new ideas or passions will result in trouble, but when it applies to someone who was as reckless as Jack, it's a necessary moral. Experimenting with passions can allow you to become more appreciative of your natural abilities. Probably. It's possible to interpret The Nightmare Before Christmas as a cautionary tale on the dangers of neglecting talent or unique traits. While this is my favourite film of all time, I am willing to admit there is one noticeable storytelling flaw. It doesn't diminish my appreciation of the film, but the romance between Jack and Sally is objectively underdeveloped and essentially a pointless addition to the film's end, thus remedied by my unrelenting appreciation of these characters. However, even within this storytelling flaw lies potentially meaningful subtext. Jack is shown throughout the film to be self-involved without even realising. It's only after that part of his personality has been changed that he actively begins to acknowledge the value in others like Sally. Presumably he always realised there was value in it, but was too distracted to let this actually influence his behaviour towards her in any way. A particularly powerful message today, since people's self-involvement often stops them from realising the value in other people. I don't know if that's true or not, I just need a reason for why no one really finds me attractive. In fact, no one has found me attractive since I was 28, and I'm only 24 now. Thank goodness Avengers Endgame taught me how to time travel briefly, or I might have never found out. Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas, directed by Henry Selick. But written by Caroline Thompson. But with music by Danny Elfman. Yeah, not directed by Tim Burton. That's another lesson this animation taught us. Perfect. Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas, possibly watched by Tim Burton, is a stunning, inventive, moving, concise tale on self-discovery and holiday spirit that is rife with important lessons. However, the most important lesson it teaches is that you should never try anything new because it will result in problems for everyone involved and you will return to the thing you were bored of originally. Wait, that's not quite right. Ordering the kidnap of an old man is fine as long as your intentions were good and as long as he's forced to resolve all the mistakes you made. Wait, that's not quite right. How to transform this old rat into a most delightful hat? No, that can't be it either. Ah no, I've got it. The most important lesson Nightmare Before Christmas teaches is that should you ever enter Christmas Town, beware. For the smell of cakes and pies are absolutely everywhere. Yeah, remember I said I wanted to force a quote from this film into the conclusion of a video one day? Mission accomplished! Thanks for watching, and if I don't see you next time, I'll assume you've discovered a forest with trees that lead you to different holidays. I've just watched a documentary about it called Nightmare Before Christmas, so I do understand. There are few who deny it, what I do I am the best, for my talents are renowned far and wide. When it comes to surprises in a moonlit night, I excel without ever even trying. With the slightest little effort of my ghost-like charms, I've seen grown men give out a shriek. With a wave of my hand and a well-placed moan, I've swept the very bravest off their feet.